This is Luke Iorio, and here's this week's Meaningful Moment. So I wanted to chat with you guys about one of Matt Damon's less popular movies. That's right, I want to talk about We Bought a Zoo. Honestly, this is a great family movie. So when you've got kids that are a bit younger, this might be a movie that you've already seen or something you're familiar with. Amazingly, I've actually only watched it with my kids 3 times, as opposed to the usual required viewing of 37 times in a weekend that they normally try to pull off. At least that just seems to be the way that it goes. Anyhow, in this movie, Matt Damon's character has lost his wife to illness, and he has 2 young kids. One that is, raging along right into teenagehood, dealing with the loss of his mom, and another that is a little 7-year-old girl, complete with the dimples and twinkle in her eye. And one of the lessons that's in the background of this movie is something that really, truly stood out to me. It was a piece of advice that Matt Damon's, the character's older brother had imparted to him. And it was one of the things that was responsible for Damon's character ultimately even having the courage to first talk to his wife, which is kind of where this story really kind of picks up, as it were. So the advice was simple. Life comes down to 20 seconds of courage. Just think about that. When you think about the moments that you've faced in your life, whether it be facing the fear or the awkwardness, the little bit of scared, whatever it is, think about when you approach those moments with just 20 seconds of courage. You took that first step. You said those first words. You asked that girl, whatever, right? Think about where that led to. Think about how you felt by just having the courage, no matter how it worked out, just having the courage to be able to move yourself forward in that moment. Because with those 20 seconds of courage, we can exhibit bravery or kindness or connection or love, whatever it is. We can lean into life. And we can do so before that voice of fear in our heads talks us out of it. Sure, when you have 20 seconds of courage, it is an acknowledgement that, yes, the fear is there. And that's okay. That fear lets you know that you're alive and that something important is going on right now. And then it reminds you, the 20 seconds of courage, that you can channel the energy that fear provides, and you can combine it with that courage to take the action that's right in front of you, to be able to lean into that moment. I think about the many key moments in my life. As you know, I've been reflecting a lot on these and prioritizing creating and recreating these moments a lot this past month. And as I think about many key moments, it was 20 seconds of courage that led me to some really great, powerful, meaningful things. It's the 20 seconds that I needed to ask my wife for her number in a bar over 16 years ago. Without that moment, I can hardly even imagine where I would be without my family, without my kids. It was saying no to a friend who gave me a free VIP ticket to Tony Robbins many, many, many years ago. And then the 15 more seconds it required to pick the phone back up and say, wait a minute, who am I kidding? I'm going to move stuff around. I'm there. And because of that, I further ignited a spark in myself to help people tap into what's possible for them, to realize what their real potential is, and for me, myself, to be able to grow personally. It was the 20 seconds that I needed to blurt out to my dad that I needed to cut back on the work that I was doing with him to open up a new business. And that business is what led just a short while later to a client called IPEC. I never would have become a coach. I never would have been in the extraordinary community of coaches that is IPEC if I had not taken that 20 seconds. Matter of fact, it wouldn't led to my next one, which was when I was on stage in front of nearly 200 IPEC coaches at a graduate training, when my voice cracked, sharing my story. And instead of not leaning into that moment, instead of what I normally would have done, which was to pause and collect myself before I moved forward, instead, I used that 20 seconds of courage to show who I truly was, to show my passion, my emotions, my vulnerability. And it created a major turning point for me professionally, as well as personally, to do so. There's just so many more of these moments, and it was always the first 20 seconds of courage that meant so much and put it in motion. Recently, I had the pleasure of interviewing Kristen Almer, who's a world-class athlete. She's known around the world for being in extreme sports. And she recently literally wrote the book on the art of fear. One of the little science tidbits that she threw out in our interview and through that book was that our bodies actually only experience fear and the fear response for about 90 seconds, meaning that we've got to work ourselves up to keep re-triggering that fear response over and over and over again. Whereas if we can breathe through that moment in the fear response and then have about 20 to 30 seconds of courage, then we're through it and we're on our way. Just think about one of the greatest fears in the world, public speaking. It's all about the first 20 seconds. Once you get going, you're off and running and you're in an entirely different place. So before our month-long experiment of meaningful moments is up, I'd like you to consider what's an experience where you've held back, that you know if you just leaned into it further, it would have a big impact on you. It would have a big impact on maybe the relationship or the project or whatever it is that this relates to, whatever it is that you've been holding back on. Picture that moment of awkwardness. Perhaps it's not sharing with someone just how important they are to you, or being fully transparent about how you're feeling about something. Or maybe it's just speaking up and declaring this is who I am and what I truly care about for the first time. If you used the 20 seconds of courage in those moments, in those experiences, through that awkwardness, what might that unlock for you? Now, what I'm going to encourage you to do is to pick that moment. Pick that experience, pick that relationship or that conversation that you've held back on. Pick that experience and now go courageously. It's only 20 seconds. Until our next moment together, much love, and this month, much courage. Be well.